Good evening, I'm Joy Reid in for Chris Matthews. Moments ago, Donald Trump concluded a press conference aboard his plane, and he's now headed to a rally in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Well, and we'll bring that to you live when it happens. The Republican frontrunner, meanwhile, continued his attacks on Bill Clinton today. Yesterday, Trump tweeted about Bill Clinton's, quote, terrible record of women abuse, his words. On the Today Show this morning, he showed no signs of backing off.
There was certainly a lot of abuse of women, and you look at whether it's Monica Lewinsky or Paula Jones or many of them, and that certainly will be fair game. Certainly if they play the woman's card with respect to me, that will be fair game.
Are you saying an extramarital affair by Bill Clinton is fair game and something that you think should be in the campaign?
I'm not saying. What I'm saying is very simple. If she is going to play the woman card, because I'll do more for women than Hillary Clinton is going to do for women, including the safety of our country, which is good for everybody. But if she's going to play, which she started about a week ago, talking about, oh, he mentioned, and, you know, the whole thing, playing up the women's card very, very strongly. And if she's going to play that game, and if he's going to be out there campaigning, then he's certainly fair game. And I think just about everybody agrees with me on that.
Okay, that was Trump saying that Bill Clinton's history with Monica Lewinsky and Paula Jones is fair game. For an alternative viewpoint, however, let's watch this video. It's from 2008. It's from a prominent businessman who called those very scandals totally unimportant. Now, he may seem somewhat familiar.
Look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant, and they tried to impeach him, which was nonsense.
Now, Trump was asked about that discrepancy today.
As a businessman, especially as a really successful businessman, it was my obligation to really get along with people. That's Democrats, Republicans, everybody, and that's what I did. I'm a conservative Republican, and in many ways I'm very conservative, but I had an obligation to my company and to my employees and to my family to get along. So I was able to get along with Clinton. I was able to get along with virtually every politician you can imagine. And when I went to Washington and when I needed something, I got it.
Okay, so if you're trying to keep up, Trump, the businessman, thought it was nonsense. Trump, the politician, thinks it's fair game. The bigger question, what will voters think? Could playing the Lewinsky card actually backfire? Sam Stein is the Huffington Post political editor and an MSNBC contributor. Perry Bacon is senior political reporter for NBC News, and Ruth Marcus is a columnist for the Washington Post. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to come to you first on this, Sam. So Donald Trump is essentially saying it's fair game to go after Hillary on Bill Clinton if she dares to mention the fact that she is a woman. Does this make any sense to you?
No. There's not much consistency here between what Trump said in 2008, what he's saying now. But what struck me about that the clip you just played is that he said that he needed to make friends as a businessman because you needed favors to get done, which logically leads us to believe that he doesn't think you need to be friendly with people as a politician. And that is completely confusing to me, because if you do want to get things done, we have this system called democracy. We have dual powers of government here, legislative power and executive power. You actually do have to get along with people. And it seems to me that Trump doesn't quite comprehend the idea that politics is not just about sharp elbows, but about reaching out to folks who you might disagree with to get something done. And that just leads you to believe that he thinks of himself more as a dictator than, let's say, a presidential candidate.
That's an interesting way to frame it. I mean, in the press conference just a few minutes ago, Trump was asked if his own personal indiscretions might be fair game as well. Let's watch.
Yes, they would be. And frankly, Hillary brought up the whole thing with sexist. And all I did is reverse it on her because she's got a major problem. Happens to be right in her house. So if she wants to do that, we're going to go right after the president, the ex-president, and we'll see how it all comes out.
You know, Perry Bacon Jr., there is an episode of Star Trek where the character of Charlie essentially says that everyone had better be nice to him or he'll freeze them all. That is the way that he dealt with people who he felt weren't being sufficiently nice. I feel like Trump's argument is everyone has to be nice to me, including my actual potential general election opponent, or else. I can't parse that any other way. Couldn't his own indiscretions come up legitimately if he's bringing up Bill Clinton's?
Of course they get. He's been saying this for a while, though. When his opponents attack him, he says, I'll be nice, but if you attack me, I'll attack even harder. He said that today in the press conference, in fact. He constantly invokes this idea that if I'm attacked first, I'm going to attack even harder following that. He seems to me conflating some issues, though. It's not, what he's talking about is Bill Clinton having an affair while at the White House. That's different from the comments Trump has made about Megyn Kelly and about other things like Bill Clinton had an affair. There was a marital discretion. Trump is being accused of sexism in a different way, I would argue, and he's sort of conflating two issues that are very different in my mind. That said, politically, Trump attacking the Clintons is going to help, not hurt, in the Republican primary.
Yeah, because the person you didn't mention in that soliloquy was Hillary Clinton, who's the one running for president. Okay, Ruth, you wrote a column today that's getting a lot of attention, and this was the headline. It was, Trump is right. Bill Clinton's sordid sexual history is fair game. Let me quote you a bit. You write, ordinarily, I would argue that the sins of the husband should not be visited on the wife. But Hillary Clinton has made two moves that lead me, gulp, to agree with Trump on the fair game front. She is, smartly, using her husband as a campaign surrogate and simultaneously, correctly, calling Trump sexist. These moves open a dangerous door. It should surprise no one that Trump has barged right through it. So Ruth, defend this column just a little bit, because Trump isn't saying that he would use President Clinton's indiscretions in some substantive way. He's essentially saying if she says she's a woman, I'm going to get her. And if she attempts to say that she'd be good for women, I'm going to get her. And if she isn't nice to me, I'm going to get her. I'm not quite understanding how you agree with that.
Well, I'm not actually agreeing with your characterization of what he's saying. And so let me back up. Trump says that Bill Clinton's activities while he was president, and I would call this more than an extramarital affair, with all due respect to my friend Perry. I would say that while he was the head of a company, say, with a subordinate, had a sexual relationship with a subordinate that would have resulted in any head of a company being thrown out of his job for engaging in the same sort of behavior. Then he lied about it under oath in a deposition and to a federal grand jury. So I think this is some pretty serious behavior that we're talking about. And I think, as with all campaign surrogates, if you send Bill Clinton out and he is your chief campaign surrogate, and let me be clear, I thought Bill Clinton was a very successful president, but he was a successful president with a big blot on his record, which was his conduct. And so when you send him out as a surrogate in that way, you open yourself up to criticism of his behavior in office, and especially when you are criticizing the leading candidate in the other party for his attitudes towards women.
Well, Ruth, I have to ask you this. What could Hillary Clinton, as First Lady of the United States, have done about any of that? How is it her responsibility?
I am not saying that it's her responsibility. What I am saying is that just as if Donald Trump sent somebody out in the campaign who had a history of racist remarks or sexist remarks, or had been convicted of some sort of offensive activity, and Bill Clinton was impeached, recall, and we can agree or disagree, but it is there. You are responsible as a campaign for the surrogates that you send out to their behavior and comments of the surrogates that you send out to push your message. And I think it's perfectly fair game to raise Bill Clinton's past in that regard. It's totally up to voters whether they think that's relevant or not to their assessment of Hillary Clinton's candidacy. But my point is that I don't think it's at all off the reservation for Donald Trump to be kind of fighting back at Hillary Clinton with this issue. And let me be clear, the start of that column said that Donald Trump was sexist, racist, narcissist, any ist you want to attach